Three scary stories. Curse of the Appalachians. Story 1. The Bell Witch. On a sweltering summer night in 1817, Betsy Bell, just 12 years old, lay wide-eyed in her four-poster bed on the Bell family farm in Robertson County, Tennessee. Suddenly, she felt the sharp, icy sting of invisible hands slapping her face and pinching her skin. Through tears, she whispered, "Who's there? What do you want from me?" But only silence answered her. A silence quickly shattered by the sinister sound of unseen laughter, echoing through her room. Her cries for help were swallowed by the oppressive night, her blankets yanked away as if by a ghostly hand. The Bell family's once peaceful life was unraveling piece by piece, as an otherworldly force, soon to be known as Kate, the Bell Witch, took hold. This was no mere fireside tale. It was an invasion that transformed their home into a place of unimaginable dread. The first hint of the unnatural emerged before any strange sounds breached the farmhouse walls. One morning, John Bell caught sight of a bizarre creature lurking at the edge of his cornfield, a large black dog with the face of a rabbit. It watched him with eyes that seemed to pierce through his very soul. "Get out of here!" John shouted, waving his arms wildly. But as he stepped closer, the creature vanished into thin air, leaving behind only a chilling memory. Determined to dismiss it as a trick of the mind, John returned home. But the oddities soon followed. The air in the farmhouse grew heavy and still, interrupted by faint, almost imperceptible knockings on the walls. "Did you hear that?" Lucy Bell would ask, her voice barely above a whisper. The family blamed the old wood or the wind at first, but the sounds grew bolder, more insistent. Scratching noises skittered along the baseboards like claws trying to break through. Sometimes, deliberate footsteps echoed through the hallway. John would light a lamp and check every room, his heart pounding in his chest. "Who's there?" he'd call, but the house was always empty. As gnawing sounds, like rats on the bedposts, began to echo through the night, the Bell family realized the chilling truth. The source was not only aware but also taunting them. The sounds multiplied, growing louder and more menacing. Heavy thuds, the dragging of chains across the floor, and the sudden rattling of beds made sleep a distant memory. The children lay awake, tense, listening for the next ominous sound. Whispers began to snake through the darkness, barely audible at first, but growing sharper, quoting scripture and mocking prayers. "You cannot escape me," the voice would taunt, sending shivers down their spines. Daylight offered no refuge, as the knocking and scratching persisted, leaving the family in a constant state of anxiety and fear. As the entity's focus turned, it became clear that young Betsy Bell was destined to face horrors far beyond sleepless nights and strange noises. For Betsy Bell, the youngest daughter, the haunting became deeply personal. She was more tormented than anyone else, with the witch's malevolence focused on her night after night. It started with sharp pinches and sudden slaps in the darkness, leaving her shaken. But this was only the beginning. As the Tennessee heat pressed in, Betsy would wake to find her hair yanked back, her head pulled into the pillow by hands she couldn't see. Her bed, once a safe haven, became the witch's main stage for torment. The frame would jerk up violently, crashing down with a force that rattled the floorboards. The wooden slats groaned ominously each night, turning every moment into an ordeal. "Why are you doing this to me?" Betsy would cry into the dark, her voice barely above a whisper. The only response was an ominous silence, occasionally broken by a sinister chuckle that seemed to come from all directions. Her mother, Lucy, and brothers watched helplessly, mostly spared from the worst of the entity's rage. The witch even showed strange kindness to Lucy, singing hymns and leaving small tokens, as if to mock the family's helplessness. Betsy wore bruises and welts that never seemed to fade, each a reminder of her isolation and the family's inability to protect her. The sounds of dragging chains, gnawing in the walls, and whispers that filled her room kept her on edge. Her world shrank to the space between her bed and the door, making sleep impossible. The witch's influence extended beyond Betsy's room, into her future. Around 1819, Betsy became engaged to Joshua Gardner, a local young man. The witch's displeasure was palpable, threatening Betsy whenever she thought of her fiancé. "You must end this," the voice would hiss, filling her with dread. At a public picnic by the Red River, the water roiled violently, and the witch's voice echoed, pleading with Betsy to break off the engagement. Humiliated and terrified, Betsy ended the relationship in front of her neighbors, her hope for happiness shattered. The entity's power wasn't just physical, it was psychological, stripping Betsy of safety, love, and even her sense of self. The Bell Witch story remains unforgettable, not just for the unsettling tales, but for the impact it left behind. John Bell's mysterious death, with a vial of poison found nearby, was attributed to the witch herself. Even President Andrew Jackson reportedly visited and claimed his wagon was stopped by an unseen force. Before vanishing, the witch promised to return in 7 years, and some say she did. The fear of the unknown lingers in the humid Tennessee air, especially near the Bell Witch Cave. Some visitors still claim to hear faint laughter echoing from the darkness. Do you think a force like this could truly haunt a family? Whispers a voice in the shadows, challenging anyone who dares to dismiss the tale. Is it just a story, or is there something more human, or perhaps inhuman, lurking behind the legend? Let us know your thoughts, if you dare. Story 2. The Phantom Hiker of Grandfather Mountain. Imagine you're alone on a deserted mountain trail when out of nowhere, a hiker materializes, only to dissolve into thin air before your eyes. This isn't fiction. It's the eerie reality on the remote trails of Grandfather Mountain, standing nearly 6,000 feet above sea level near Linville, North Carolina. Many who brave these paths speak of an unsettling presence, a ghostly figure with a weathered face and archaic attire, as though he stepped out of a forgotten time. He appears silently, lingering just long enough to send a shiver down your spine before vanishing, leaving behind a trail of cold questions. For decades, adventurers have recounted these spine-chilling encounters with the phantom hiker on Grandfather Mountain's isolated trails. Yet, the truth behind his spectral appearances remains shrouded in mystery. What truly transpires when someone dares to trail him into the creeping mist? Picture yourself hiking solo, the late afternoon sun casting ghostly shadows through the towering pines. Each step you take echoes like a drumbeat on the gravel, the only sound in the oppressive silence of the woods. The air, sharp and thin, carries the scent of pine and damp earth. As the sun sinks behind Grandfather Mountain, the peaks are set ablaze in copper and violet hues, and an eerie stillness envelops the world. At this altitude, nearly 6,000 feet above sea level, isolation is absolute. The mountain is known for its sudden fogs and fierce winds that can transform the familiar into the unknown within moments. The rhythmic crunch of your footsteps is your only companion. Then, abruptly, the wind halts and an unnatural silence descends. No birds sing, no branches creak. The silence wraps around you, dense and foreboding. It's then you sense a movement at the edge of your vision. You pause, heart racing, and scan the trail. At first, there's only the dimming light and the rough silhouettes of boulders. Then he appears, a figure with a grizzled beard, leaning on a wooden walking stick. His attire is from another era, a canvas army-style backpack, thick wool pants, a patched jacket, and battered boots. He matches the descriptions of the phantom hiker, a ghostly relic from the past. He stands still, as if listening to whispers in the wind that you cannot hear. He moves forward, each step deliberate on the rocky path. Curiosity overcomes caution, and you follow him. The trail narrows, winding through jagged rocks and dense laurel. Fog begins to rise, swirling around your legs, blurring the line between reality and illusion. In this remote, low-visibility setting, every sound is amplified, every shadow a potential specter. Your senses are heightened, each noise and flicker of movement amplified by the eerie quiet. As you quicken your pace, trying to catch up to the mysterious figure, a chilling realization dawns. The harder you try, the further away he seems. His form, once clear, now dances like a shadow just out of reach. The mist thickens, swallowing the details of his attire into a ghostly blur. Occasionally, you glimpse the glint of his walking stick catching a stray beam of twilight. But then, he vanishes again, leaving only the haunting echo of footsteps mingling with your own in the oppressive quiet. Desperation creeps in. You shout, your voice piercing the fog like a desperate plea. Hello? But the mountain swallows your words, offering nothing in return but silence and the relentless crunch of gravel underfoot. You break into a jog, heart pounding, feet slipping on the loose stones. When you reach the spot where he should be, you find nothing but the vast, empty stretch of trail. The trees stand far away, offering no places to hide, and the ground bears no trace of footprints. The mist coils around you, and with it, a creeping cold that gnaws at your resolve. Standing alone, the mountain's isolation wraps around you like a shroud. Your pulse echoes in your ears, a relentless reminder of the encounter that defies understanding. You reassure yourself it's merely a trick of the fog, the play of light and shadow that has long haunted these trails. Yet the memory of the specter, the anachronistic clothes, the worn backpack, the silent vanishing, clings to you like a shadow. This isn't an isolated tale. Countless others have narrated the same phenomena. A sudden hush, the misplaced man, the inexplicable disappearance. The legend persists precisely because it eludes explanation, leaving only the unsettling feeling that the mountain guards its secrets fiercely. For decades, the identity of the bearded phantom has remained veiled in mystery. His vanishing act, one of the high country's most chilling enigmas. To this day, as dusk paints the sky and the last light flees, hikers still recount sightings of him, his figure dissolving into the mountain's mists and shadows. Imagine standing alone on those rocky switchbacks, the cold seeping in as the wind dies down. Would you dare to chase his spectral path into the unknown? If you've ever journeyed the trails of Grandfather Mountain, or have your own eerie tale to share, Let your voice be heard in the comments below. Story 3. The Brown Mountain Lights. Imagine standing on the precipice of Brown Mountain, as the night envelops you in its silent embrace, only to see ghostly orbs of light gliding eerily across the landscape. These lights, with their otherworldly movements, have haunted the Linville Gorge for generations, leaving those who witnessed them in a state of bewilderment and fear. The first official account was penned by the Charlotte Observer in 1913. Yet tales of these lights have been whispered through the ages, blurring the lines between myth and reality. Some skeptics argue that the lights are optical illusions or distant train headlights, echoing the thoughts of early scientists like D.B.C. Starrett. Yet others delve into age-old legends, suggesting that these ethereal lights are the spirits of the lost, forever wandering the mountain. The clash between scientific reasoning and supernatural folklore only deepens the enigma. But what if the truth behind these mysterious lights is far stranger than anyone has ever imagined? Long before science attempted to unravel the mystery of the Brown Mountain Lights, the indigenous peoples of the region saw in them something more profound. The Cherokee and Catawba tribes, nestled in the shadow of the Blue Ridge Mountains, wove these lights into their rich tapestry of storytelling. To them, the lights were not mere curiosities, but the spirits of the mountain itself. The Cherokee spoke of the souls of ancient warriors, lost in battles long forgotten, searching through the ridges for their brethren. The Catawba imagined sorrowful spirits of women, eternally yearning for loved ones claimed by war. Even today, these stories endure, with local guides recounting the legend of the Catawba woman and Cherokee man, reminding us of the deep-rooted beliefs that continue to shape perceptions of this phenomenon. Picture a frigid autumn night, the forest floor damp and yielding beneath your feet. The dense woods press in from all sides, their branches whispering secrets in the wind. For the Cherokee and Catawba, this was no ordinary wilderness. It was a realm where the line between the living and the spectral faded. The lights, they told, would emerge above the treetops, weaving through the mist like spectral dancers. Some believed they were the spirits of star-crossed lovers, a Catawba woman and a Cherokee man, forever seeking each other in death. These tales turned the lights into haunting symbols of love and loss, as integral to the landscape as the rivers that cut through the valleys. But can the heartache of lost love account for lights that defy the laws of physics? As settlers arrived, the legends grew more complex. The mountain's reputation for sorrow and mystery deepened, with early European settlers describing the lights as ghostly orbs hovering above the trees, vanishing without a trace. Alone in the shadowy woods, it was all too easy to believe that the lights were alive, weaving through the hollows like restless spirits. On certain nights, the chilling air seemed to seep into their very bones, and every fleeting glimmer in the distance became a source of dread. In the shadowy depths of the 1840s, there lurks a story that chills the spine. The tale of Henry and Jim. Henry, a black man, emancipated Jim from the shackles of slavery, and together they carved out a life at the edge of the foreboding Brown Mountain. But one fateful night, both men vanished into the ominous embrace of the forest. Soon after, mysterious lights began to glide through the gorge. Some whispered that it was Jim's lantern, eternally searching for Henry, while others believed it was the two men, forever bound to wander the mountain. This tale of unwavering loyalty and haunting loss became woven into local legend, a chilling reminder of how the past can linger like a specter. Among these tales is also the chilling tragedy of Lady Adeline. In 1848, she wed a wealthy landowner, yet her life was one of turmoil. One winter's night, she disappeared into the night, her lifeless body discovered among the jagged rocks days later. Afterward, the lights burned brighter, as if fueled by rage, seeking retribution for her untimely demise. Though no records from the time confirm this tale, it survives in hushed tones, a chilling cautionary tale that the lights may harbor vengeance and warning. There is also the haunting story of a Revolutionary War soldier, tormented by the loss of his child in the unforgiving wilderness. Night after night, he scoured the mountain, torch held high, but never found the child. The lights in the gorge are said to be his torch, still flickering in the darkness, driven by a sorrow that etched itself into the land. The soldier's grief, it seems, has become a part of the very fabric of the mountain. The Linville Gorge itself adds to the foreboding aura. The steep cliffs and tangled woods make it nearly impossible to discern the source of the lights. As night falls, the air grows cold and dense, the silence broken only by the whisper of leaves. Standing at Wiseman's View, the darkness presses in, and when a ghostly orb drifts through the valley, it becomes all too easy to believe in something more sinister than a mere optical illusion. The enigmatic glow of the Brown Mountain lights continues to draw the curious and the brave to the edge of the gorge on crisp autumn nights, the air thick with the scent of damp earth and distant pine. These lights carry the whispers of past tragedies, of lovers lost, stories unfinished, and spirits restless, forever haunting these ancient slopes. Even now, scientists and their cameras from Appalachian State set up along the ridges, yearning for answers. Yet the lights persist, eluding explanation and igniting fresh debates. If you ever find yourself traversing a dark mountain road, keep your gaze fixed on the horizon. Have you ever seen lights that defy explanation? Sometimes, what flickers across the night may just be spectral reminders of ancestral sorrows, dancing in the darkness.